Hi, hello, welcome back to the Martian Movers 30-day challenge. I'm your host, Marina Mars, and today is day 2. Today is kind of what I'd like to consider like the last part of orientation. And today I just really want us to make a commitment to ourselves. A commitment that we're not going to give up. And we're going to back that up with both of our exercises, our movement and mindfulness exercises of the day. As always, please share your thoughts in the YouTube comment section below or go hang out on Instagram if you want to connect with the community and you're inspired to add your spice into this melting pot of love, or keep it to yourself, whatever. It's your journey. So I'd like to begin by reading some excerpts from the book that today's lesson is based off of. Is this going to show up right? Yay! Maybe it's backwards because I'm on a phone right now, but Everything is Figureoutable by Marie Forleo. This woman is one of my favorite business coaches, but she also just is a kick-ass lifestyle mindset coach as well. And so I just kind of want to read a couple things about commitment to our goals from here. And I highly recommend this book if y'all are into reading. It's really easy to read in terms of, if you like the way that I talk and you like the way that I swear and I don't give a fuck, you'll love Marie Forleo. She straight up calls people douche canoes, I think, in this book or some shit like that. I don't know. It's ridiculous. Anyway, your roadmap to your results. Just because this idea is simple doesn't mean the road ahead is easy. You'll need humility and courage, self-compassion, a willingness to experiment, a sense of humor, and patience. Lots and lots of patience. As Carlos Castaneda said, we either make ourselves miserable or we make ourselves strong. The amount of work is the same. So, a couple things that I just kind of want you to keep in mind about empowering yourself, about remembering that everything truly is figure-outable, is as follows. Number 1, we train our brains for growth. Your brain is an extraordinary biocomputer, and it's constantly running programs that either work for or against you. That's why I want you to be aware of 2 destructive thoughts, or viruses, if you will, that can pop up when you're learning something new. The trick is to catch these thoughts and turn them into productive questions instead. So, why do we want to do this? Because the brain is wired to answer questions. No matter what question you ask, your brain will immediately start searching for an answer. When you transform these thoughts into helpful, productive questions, you train your brain to help you learn, grow, and improve rather than beat the shit out of you. The first destructive thought to watch for is, I know this already. Whenever we feel like we already know something, our minds completely disengage and just shut down. Next time you hear yourself thinking or saying, I know this already, especially going through my course or reading this book, just kind of stop and ask yourself, what can I learn from this? Ask it again and again with as much curiosity as possible. What can I learn from this? What can I learn from this? You can always learn one of 2 things. First, you can learn a new angle to a concept you're already familiar with, or more likely, you'll realize that you're not fully executing on the thing that you think you already know all about. You're not living it, Knowing something intellectually is very different from doing something consistently and mastering it and benefiting from it. Be humble. If you come across an idea or a suggestion you've heard before, don't skim past it and just say, whatever, I know this already. Be wiser than that. Ask the question, what can I learn from this? The second destructive thought, virus, is, oh, this won't work for me. So instead of saying, this won't work for me, which constantly shuts down the possibility of anything working, you're going to want to stop it, catch it, and change it into a more productive question. Ask yourself, how can this work for me? Asking this question again and again forces you to look beyond the obvious Stretch outside your cognitive comfort zone and poke holes into your own status quo. You'll train your brain to find new connections, innovations, opportunities, and possibilities that otherwise would have been missed. I love this point because I straight up used to be that smart ass all the time. And to be honest, I still kind of am sometimes. So we're all constant works in progress, right? It's usually right after I ask myself over and over and over again, the last time when you get annoyed, when you're just like, fuck, like, what am I supposed to learn from this? Like, literally, what is the point? And you're like about to give up. If you just do one more mental pull-up, that's where the gold is. That's where the innovation is. So just hold on. All right, so the next part of our roadmap to results, the next part of our everything is figureoutable formula, if you will. Number 2, try it before you deny it. So let's make something very clear. I don't have the answers to everything. Neither does Marie Forleo. You might find that a lesson that I give you I put it out there with one intention, and, it wasn't a nugget of advice that you needed, right? But perhaps that little nugget of advice ended up, cultivating something new within you anyway, because it forced you to ask questions. It forced you to ask those questions, what can I learn from this, and how can I make this work for me? I might be this 26-year-old white woman in Las Vegas, and that may not be you, but there might be some part of that experience where we can bridge, build a bridge together. The next part of our roadmap to results in our everything is figureoutable formula, don't offend yourself. If you're going to come here, that's where I'm going to get a little sassy for a second. If you're going to come here and try to tell me or tell yourself, yelling at the computer screen at the shit I'm writing or saying, this is like, oh my God, this woman keeps swearing. How dare she? Oh my gosh, she got no morals. Like, her booty's on the internet. Like, oh my God, like, whatever. Whatever comes up. Or this girl don't know shit about death. Like, this girl don't know anything about, meditation. Like, blah, 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 blah. It's more often than not a reflection of yourself that is coming forward. So if you feel yourself getting upset by something I say or a lesson that I'm giving, I'm not denying the fact that sometimes I could straight up be, not all-knowing. I definitely have so much to learn. I am a student right alongside of you. But just know that I respect you. I genuinely, may not know exactly who I'm talking to, as in I may not have met you in real life, but I respect you. I appreciate you. I admire you for being here. You picking up my program, or as Marie Forleo puts it in her book, you picked up this book tells me that we share some DNA somewhere, right? That's sacred to me. I just want to leave a lot of space for silence here for a second, because I know, I think I go over this in one of the lessons. I'm one of those people that's kind of hard to be around on a daily basis, because I am legit, this is my life. What you're about to experience for the next 30 days, that's kind of what it's like to date me. It's kind of what it's like to be my friend. I'm intense. I'm constantly pushing people. I'm constantly not crossing boundaries, but I push boundaries, because I come from a place of consistent growth until the moment of death. I don't want to hurt you. That's not my point. I don't want to offend you. I don't want to do any of those kinds of things. But it is my goal to push you, to push humanity, to push the cultural narrative into being more thoughtful, into being more self-aware. And I go into the reasons as to why throughout the rest of the course, so I won't waste any more time on that topic. But for real, if you find yourself getting offended by anything that I say or do here, just sit with it. Just sit with it. Like, and recognize that you have the power to take any information as you will. If something upsets you, you might want to just ask yourself what part of you is being reflected by me that causes you to feel that way. So moving on to step 4 of the roadmap to results in the figureoutable formula. You gotta actually do the work. You gotta do the work. You can't just read these emails, you can't just watch the videos. I mean, yes, that'll help because thinking is awesome, but clarity comes from engagement, not thought. Hence these being moving meditations. If this was just a mindfulness course, I would literally tell you to go to fucking therapy, okay? But it's not. It's purposely a movement course. I'm purposely incorporating these lessons into an actual tangible activity or goal that you have so that you can see the results rather than just having all of this theoretical knowledge in your head and doing what with it. Clarity comes from engagement, not thought. And lastly, the last part of the roadmap to results, the figureoutable formula, is connect with our community. Like I said, especially if you're a bronze level with this course, you are just receiving the emails, and there's no two-way communication. You just get the emails. This is a journey for yourself, and that's cool. When I first started doing, well, not first, but a few years ago when I was going through an insane purging of like who I used to be, coming into who I am, really what inspired me to build this course in the first place, I was definitely doing the journey alone. I didn't want to be by anyone. In fact, so much so that I straight up moved across the country, put everything into the back of my car, including my cat and my clothes. That was pretty much it, my costumes. And I just drove thousands of miles to Las Vegas, and I didn't do anything to build friendships or community for the first 6 months because I really needed to sit with myself. So if that's your case right now, and you really I respect that so deeply. I understand, and I appreciate you and love you. And if at any point you do end up needing help, that's where this comes into play. So to really, like I said, I sat with myself for a while, but then to really implement and really make this my lifestyle rather than just kind of like a mental retreat for 30 days or 6 months, you connect with community. You build connections. And I recognize that not everybody, you can't always do that, because as you'll find in some of the lessons, you need to get rid of certain things that take up space in your life in order to make space for the new things that you want to be there, right? So that means there is a process of purging. There's this ebb and flow of people and connections in your life that naturally happens throughout this process. I know when I really got into mindfulness, I lost a fuckload of friends, but I gained so much more. So it's the natural attrition process of life. This is the natural part of chaos theory. That being said, if you are at the place where you did the purge, or you have room, or you're looking for friends of like-minded individuals, I highly recommend that you really hang out over on the Instagram page, Marina, or Martian Movers, or my page, Marina Mars, but that one's a little bit more chaotic. This is a little bit more focused. So I attached instructions for this, how to do that, like how to interact on the Instagram page in the day 0 PDF that I attached to also day 1. So check that out for information, or feel free to DM me and I'll let you know. But basically, the more you tag your posts, I'm going to share everybody's post that that tag Martian Movers throughout the process. So that way, everybody who wants to be publicly visible and wants to connect, you can see the people who tagged the page, you can see me reposting them, so that way you have the ability to connect. We'll get more into that, especially there is one specific lesson called The Network of Life, and we're gonna really dive into collaboration and how to make that possible. But just keep an open mind to that, and if you are on Instagram, even if you're just a lurker and you just wanna watch for now and maybe not necessarily participate, or maybe you just wanna give people some compliments, that's good too. What goes around comes around. So now that I've had that baseline, I just want to let you know that I made this program because it was everything I did to go from a suicidal nihilist to a believer in life and love and the pursuit of the infinite, pursuit of knowledge. I used to be constantly broke, constantly tired, constantly waiting for the next substance to ingest. I just straight up had no purpose. The only thing I knew I had going for me was that I had this just complete impatience and intolerance for seeing a problem I knew how to fix. And it wasn't even selfless, y'all. It was just that my anxiety wanted to squash any chaos around me, and I wasn't even self-aware enough to do it in a way that wouldn't undermine other people. Especially when I was 17, 18, I used to do this a lot to older men because I thought it was hilarious. It's still kind of funny, but there's respectable ways to go around it, right? I was just being a straight up douche about it. I was sick. I was in tremendous pain. I was buried beneath so much trauma and so many triggers and so many flinches. And until I became mindful of it, it found a way to add toxins to other parts of my life. I always knew mindfulness was a thing, but I just thought it was for pampered people. I felt like imminent doom was always very near, so there just straight up wasn't time for me to sit with myself. I had to act, react, and repeat, boom, boom, boom. I felt tied to my own ways because together they really did keep me alive during some dark shit. But the thing is, the dark shit had ended. Or at least if it didn't end, I got far enough away from it where it wasn't actually immediately in my surroundings anymore, right? But yet my brain and my mental patterns that I had created was convinced that the dark shit was not in fact over, and that at any moment it could still knock on my door. So I better be prepared, and I better not put my armor down. I better not put my shield down, But one day, a few years ago, literally everything was taken from me. Literally, the only thing left in my empty apartment, back in Wisconsin, on New Year's, it was blizzarding. I didn't even have a bed. I had clothes, I had my cat, and I had my costumes. I didn't even have a towel to take a shower. I didn't even have toilet paper to take a shit. I went to a gig in Chicago, and I came back to nothing. So I put everything back in my car, like I said earlier, and came to Vegas. It was in that moment, ironically, that I realized that I found peace. It was the first time in my entire life that I ever felt true peace. And that was in the middle of an extremely traumatic robbery. It's a weird ass thing to say, but it's true. And that's when I really dove headfirst into everything I could about mindfulness. I began blending this into my movement style, my messaging, my focal points in my flow. It became less about pretty lines and more about beautiful spirits. My performance became elevated. My purpose began emerging. I took countless business courses. That was about the time that I started working with Marie Forleo. I didn't know where I was going next, but I knew that first sip of inner peace at age 23 was what I wanted in my everyday life. 23 years without it was too fucking long. So if you're entering this program with literally no idea what you want to focus on or accomplish, I need you to just recognize the value of finding that inner peace. You don't need to push yourself to do what everyone else is doing. Just getting to know yourself, just getting your brain to shut the fuck up for 1 second, do not underestimate that power. If that's your goal for this course, holy shit, you're about to become a badass. If you're familiar with yoga, there's like the 8 limbs of yoga. This program is about exploring those elusive 6th, 7th, and 8th limbs. So we're turning that theoretical knowledge into practice. So for those of you who are not aware of what the limbs of yoga are, basically there are 8 limbs of yoga. There are 8 goals. There are 8 things that you work through. They're goals that you over the course of a lifetime want to. Gosh, I'm not a yogi, so like just fucking Google it. But basically, they are the 3 things that you hope to gain out of your practice. I've been doing yoga for years, but I am not certified in teaching it, so I'm not trying to teach yoga to you right now. I have multiple yogis in the mentor program here. We've got Amber Nicole and we've got Chelsea Ramos. They're both yogis. So if you have any questions, I can easily direct you to their services specifically. But basically, what I'm just trying to lay out here is that there are those 3 final limbs of yoga. They talk about concentration and introspective focus. They talk about contemplation, reflection of the profound, and abstract meditation, as well as putting all of that together harmoniously. So basically, it's like step 1, being able to hold your mind onto one focal point, and you're fixed on it, and you're not jumping from topic to topic. Then you want to be able to concentrate a little bit deeper into that focal point. So before you were only focused on the focal point, but now we are contemplating the focal point. And again, uninterrupted train of thought, and this is a flow of awareness. The flow state literally comes out in the 7th limb of yoga in that regard. And then, the 8th limb, the final part, putting it all together, is you experiencing that oneness, you recognizing that you are your thought. They are not 2 separate things. The thing that you were observing and you are of the same. They are not separate. And I know that sounds ridiculous because it's like, hello, this book is not literally physically attached to me, but what you'll recognize throughout the course of this program is that, again, as a mathematician, as a scientist, I still work in a lab, by the way. There's more to this world than the physical, what you can touch. There's oneness that you can have with your mind, especially once you have that mind-body connection really tight, which again is the goal of these moving meditations. Mindfulness is just a muscle that we train just like anything else. But just like going to the gym, sometimes the motivation just isn't there, right? But don't worry, I've got you covered when it comes to tackling some of those challenges. Step 1 is committing right now. So head back to the email for your daily lesson, for your daily movement and mindfulness prompts, in order to solidify that commitment to yourself. I really want you to take time with this day. And if it takes you a couple days to get through this activity, hell, even if it takes you to the end of the month to figure out what your motive is, what your motivation is, how to make that commitment to yourself, that's okay. Just do not skip this lesson. Like, I won't say that about everything else because sometimes people are like dealing with certain things. So maybe they don't want to, hit a certain topic at that current moment, and that's fine. But this one, do not miss. So, thank you so much for spending your time with me today, lovelies. I I love you so much, and I'm so excited to really dive in. The rest of the content from here on out is a lot. It's not me talking to my cell phone. It's going to be straight up from my podcast, so it's a little bit higher quality. And all of the information is peer-reviewed. It's backed by science. It's backed by all of the experience I talked about yesterday. Really excited for you to dive in. Please let me know if you have any questions, and I wish you so much luck. Have a beautiful day and drink some fucking water.